Hi, everyone. It's Miss Palmer here with our final lecture on Universal. Now we're talking about nominal versus real interest rates. Interest rates and inflation. What are interest rates and why do lenders charge them? Who is willing to lend me $100 if I will pay a total interest rate of 100%? I plan to pay you back in 2050. If the nominal interest rate is 10% and the inflation rate is 15%, how much is the real interest rate? Real interest rates. The percentage increase in purchasing power that a borrower pays, adjusted for inflation. So you need to know these definitions. The real interest rate equals the nominal interest rate minus the expected inflation. So nominal interest rates are the percentage increase in money that the borrower pays, not adjusting for inflation. Nominal interest rate equals the real interest rate plus the expected inflation. Nominal versus real interest rates continued. So example number 1. You lend out $100 with a 20% interest rate, but inflation is 15%. A year later, you get paid back $120. What is the nominal and what is the real interest rate? The nominal interest rate is the actual interest rate at 20%. The real interest rate is only 5% because inflation was 15. So 20 minus 15 gives you 5%. In reality, you get paid back an amount with less purchasing power. Example number 2. You lend out $100 with 10% interest. Prices are expected to increase 20% in a year and you get paid back $110. You actually lost money on this one. What is the nominal and what is the real interest rate? The nominal interest rate is the original interest rate at 10%. The real rate was negative 10% because 10 minus 20 is negative 10. In reality, you get paid back an amount with less purchasing power. How do changes in the interest rate affect the bond price? When you buy bonds, you can wait for them to mature or you can sell them early. Assume you bought a bond at 5% interest rate that will mature in 10 years. If the interest rates increase to 10%, will buyers be more or less interested in buying the bond? Your bond? Probably not. What will happen to the price of your bond? Borrowers would be less interested in buying your bond, so the price would decrease. Interest rates and bond prices are inversely related. So far, we've only been looking at nominal interest rates, but what about real interest rates? Loanable funds market. Loanable funds market. Is a real interest rate of 50% good or bad? Well, that depends. It's bad for the borrowers, but good for the lenders. The loanable funds market is the private sector supply and demand of loans. This market shows the effect on real interest rates. Demand. It's an inverse relationship between real interest rate and the quantity of loans demanded. Supply. That's the direct relationship between the real interest rate and the quantity of loans supplied. This is not the same as the money market. Supply is not vertical. Okay, we're talking about the loanable funds market. All right, so here's the diagram. You knew it was coming, so here it is. The loanable funds market, you have the real interest rate on the vertical. You have the quantity of loans being issued on the horizontal. So at the equilibrium, real interest rate, the amount of borrowers want to borrow equals the amount lenders want to lend. Okay, so here's the demand, and here's the supply. The lenders are providing the loans. The borrowers are demanding the loans. Here's the equilibrium. Here's the real interest rate and the quantity of loans. Okay, example, the government increases deficit spending. What happens then? The government borrows from the private sector, increasing the demand for loans. So it creates a rightward shift in the demand curve for loans. Real interest rates increase, causing a crowding out effect due to the rightward shift in demand. Okay, loanable funds market, we have demand shifters and supply shifters. So here they are. Okay, so demand shifters are changes in perceived business opportunities, changes in government borrowing. In other words, budget deficit or budget surplus will create a demand shift in the loanable funds market. And then you've got supply shifters, changes in the private savings behavior, and changes in the public savings, and changes in foreign investment, and changes in expected profitability. Oops, here. All right, so let's take a photograph of this and memorize what shifts demand in the loanable funds market and what shifts supply. Okay? Remember, the suppliers are the bank, and the demanders are the consumers there. Okay, here we go. Next slide. Crowding out refers to the decrease in private investment due to increased borrowing by the government. When an economy is at full employment, which of the following will most likely create demand pull inflation in the short run? A decrease in the real rate of interest. Okay, a decrease in the real rate of interest. Okay, suppose that a national government increased deficit spending on goods and services, increasing its demand for loanable funds. In the long run, this policy would most likely result in which of the following changes in this country? Increased in real interest rates and decreased in investment. Okay, here's another free response question. Go ahead and take a photograph of this or a screenshot, and then the rubric will be coming up and you can compare and try and work this one out and back it into the answers. Okay. Here's the rubric or part of it. And here's the rest of it. Okay. Here's another free response question. Take a photograph of this and see if you can answer all of these according to the rubric. Here's the rubric. Okay, all right. That's the end of our presentation for today and for this section of Unit 4. So I hope everybody has a great day. If you have any questions, go back and review my slides. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop in anytime on my office hours. And it's Ms. Palmer signing out. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.